Hi guys, thanks for tuning in and welcome to the very first episode of the Filmmaker Talk. Today I have a special guest, or my guest is Tyler Edwards. He's also a filmmaker. I think he's from Colorado. Correct me if I'm wrong. And today we're gonna chat about like filmmaking business, like what's actually important, how he became a filmmaker and all that kind of stuff. I hope that is interesting for you. I will also make that available as a podcast, so I will link that down below. And if you're listening at the podcast at the moment, just be aware that we also have recorded that for you on YouTube if you want to see our lovely faces. So Tyler, how's it going?
Great, thanks for having me on, Paul. I really appreciate the opportunity to just first of all chat with you. Like I've watched your content a lot, both your English and German channel with the subtitles. My German is not what it used to be. So it's really cool to finally chat with you and connect with you.
Yeah, likewise. So do you actually speak a little bit German or?
Nein, ich habe 3 Jahre gelernt in Schule. It's embarrassing. I think we should definitely do English.
No worries, but he basically said that he learned it for 3 years in English, and I could understand it, so that's totally fine. So how is the whole situation in the US with coronavirus and all that stuff?
Yeah, it is. It's interesting because first of all, like I think we're on the up and up. Based on here in Colorado, they take it very seriously. And that's not to say that other states in the U.S. don't take it seriously, but especially in the counties where there's really high populations, they've done a really good job at kind of shutting things down and making sure that everyone's being safe. And so they have different levels here in Colorado, and with that, they kind of raised it up really high back in December around the holiday season, which was kind of a bummer because it was hard to see family and stuff. But it's definitely trending down now. But it kind of depends on kind of the geographic location. I think Florida, for example, is kind of just wide open, and California is even more shut down. But as a whole, I think we're kind of trending in the right direction, especially with the vaccines and stuff coming out. It's definitely helping, but it's definitely been really challenging, especially in Q1, which is already a pretty challenging quarter for filmmaking. Having that with the pandemic just makes it really difficult. And I'm pretty new to Colorado. I moved to Colorado back in August of last year during the pandemic. So, networking, we'll get into all that stuff, but networking and finding work in a new city during a pandemic is definitely presented its own challenges for sure.
Yeah, that was actually what I wanted to ask you about. How are you dealing with moving to a different city without having any contacts or no clients there? So you're just building a network right now, or do you still work for clients that you had back in Charleston? I think it was, right?
That's exactly right. It's kind of a cocktail of everything that you just mentioned. Moving here, the first thing I did is I sent out a lot of cold emails, like cold calls, but I just sent out emails. And a lot of those were to local churches in the area, because I'd done, back in Charleston, a lot of work with the church there. And in fact, kind of during the pandemic, I joined their filmmaking team full time. So I kind of had that experience and kind of knew how to work in that realm and kind of in that market. So I reached out to a number of churches and did a few projects with that. One I was really proud of. It's a Christmas production that turned out really cool. And then from there, it's just been networking with filmmakers, just to kind of meet other filmmakers in the area for, number one, just to network and meet new people. Number two, for bigger projects where I may need crew. it's a great resource to pull on. But I'm also connecting with local production companies as well that that have a DP or cam op list or something like that. So just trying to get there. But Q1 is always a really tricky quarter for filmmaking for some reason. So it's been a lot of that. And then there is some work that I'm doing with some clients still back in Charleston. And they have work actually kind of around the country. So it's kind of nice being somewhat central as opposed to, being on the coast. So a lot of that.
Did you move for a specific reason to Colorado for not only for mainly because also for private, but also like from a business standpoint, or?
We moved to Colorado simply just because we wanted to be here. It's beautiful here. The Rocky Mountains are just, it's amazing scenery, and I grew up on the beach, so just a complete change of pace for both my wife and I, and we decided, we want to move here. And so she works as a product marketer in kind of the digital marketing world for now for a brand new company. But we moved out here. She got a job with a company in Boulder, and that's kind of what kind of pushed us to move out here. Really weird experience during the pandemic, but we decided to move out here just because we wanted to. And that's kind of been our philosophy ever since we got married, that we want to live somewhere where we want to live, not because a job takes us there. And so being freelance, I kind of knew what it was like starting a business back in Charleston. And so it's kind of going back through some of those growing pains, but obviously a lot of lessons learned with like where to shop for insurance and all that kind of stuff has definitely kind of gave me a little head start, so I could really focus on building a network, building client relationships, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because also since you mentioned that, I'm not sure if that's something that's only specific to Germany, but for example here a lot of people are there are still people that are somewhat open-minded, that want to connect with other filmmakers, but there's also a bunch of people that say, these ones are like let's say competition, and I don't want to deal with them. And I think that's the total wrong approach, because as I said, when you gonna have a bigger project, you need to build a crew, and then you want to work with people that you can actually rely on, and then in the first bit is that you already have worked with. So yeah, I think you can achieve so much more when you do stuff together.
Absolutely. And it's weird, like the different markets. I've never worked in LA or lived in LA, but that's definitely a very competitive market. But from kind of what I've gathered here in Colorado, it's in the Denver area, just kind of the biggest city pretty much here. From what I've learned and kind of been told, it's kind of a small town, big city kind of thing. So there's a lot of work, but there's to be had, but there's also this kind of a tight-knit filmmaking community, which is really cool and really hard right now to kind of network and connect with that, just due to the pandemic and trying to be safe and healthy and everything. But I felt that way too back in Charleston. There were definitely trying to learn the business and stuff. A lot of people just seem to be really tight-lipped on business growth strategy or networking or something, and to the point where there was enough work to be going around, and I'm with you. I just think there is enough work to be going around. There is a job for everyone. There's jobs that people don't want, and I think competition's healthy. I think that makes all of us better business people and better filmmakers, and I think competition is healthy. But I think the healthy part of competition comes in. There's some bit of camaraderie and some level of we want our industry to succeed regardless. And that's kind of where I feel like if I personally, if I lose a bid to a job, you know what, I lost it. And, obviously the other company had a better proposal, but I'm also really psyched for them because that means, hopefully that means a local production company was able to get the job instead of it being outsourced to, someone from Atlanta or LA or New York. And not that, not that I don't like anybody from LA or New York or anything, but from a localized standpoint, it's just really cool to see, local businesses partner with local filmmakers. And I mean, I'm wearing my Creative Solutions Support Local Filmmaker shirt, actually. So.
Okay, yeah, really cool. And how did you get into filmmaking? Did you went to film, or did you go to film school? That's the right to say. Or did you cross into the industry because you were interested in?
Yeah, it's always been a hobby of mine. Actually, that camera right there is the Canon 60D. That was my first DSLR that kind of got me into making videos, and it was just always a hobby of mine. And I worked at the Boeing company, who I'm sure you're familiar with, Airbus, big competitor to Airbus. And I worked there for almost 7 years, almost to the day. And I worked in finance there and just didn't love it. Couldn't do the spreadsheets anymore. So I had done some work, video work, just for really small projects, just to kind of keep up with the craft. And it got to the point where, number one, I was definitely investing a lot of money into equipment for a hobby. And number two, hey, I think I can actually make a living off of this and do something that I genuinely love. And so I quit cold turkey and went into freelance. That was 3 or 4 years ago, maybe. And but yeah, it just started out as a hobby. I've never went to film school. My film school was YouTube University. I learned everything from YouTube. And shortly after getting that camera, I got the original cinema camera from Blackmagic Design. And ever since then, I've kind of been in the Blackmagic, for owning cameras. Blackmagic and Canon has just kind of been like this, but I've always had both Blackmagic and Canon cameras. Not that really matters, but
they do match very well. I was a few months ago. I was doing how's it called? Yeah, I made making of, like a behind the scenes. It's a little bigger production company, and they do a lot of live streaming. And they had a huge live stream set up in a abandoned cinema for a company, and it was really huge. And I was filming with the Pocket 6K as well as the Canon R6. And when I handed the footage over, they said to me, that it matched pretty well, because Blackmagic has kind of this brownish tones and also Canon like a little bit reddish. So it was very easy to match. And therefore I always had also the same feeling that I didn't had to work massively in post to match both of them together. So
yeah, I totally agree. I have a 1DX Mark III as my go to war camera, the camera that just, and it does. It's got a fantastic image. Definitely you have to know its limitations just with the Canon log profile and all that stuff, but you have to know any tool that you use, whether it's a camera or a light or a mic. Once you understand that, and once you understand the limitations and where it starts to break apart, I agree with you. It's pretty easy to match those cameras, which is really nice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, hopefully Canon will, I don't know if they will do, but I heard rumors that they will implement Canon Log 3 into at least Canon R5, R6, and also 1DX Mark III. So that would be really great, because I totally agree that it's a little bit challenging sometimes, because Canon log is so limited actually. But you can always ask for more, right?
Yeah, I've heard the same rumor. Supposedly a firmware update's coming soon, but we only time will tell. But if we got Canalog 3, if we got Canalog 2 on the 1DX and R5, and oh man, that would be awesome. That would be really cool.
Yeah. So you said like you just quit your job basically and then went into freelance work. How was it back in the day? Did you already have some projects aligned or planned, or did you just went out and just hoped for the best will come, or how was it for you? And what would you, when you think back, what would you recommend to other people when they want to do the same?
If you're looking to leave your current job to pursue photography or filmmaking or whatever you're passionate. I mean, it could be contract or a builder or whatever. A good rule of thumb is to, if you can, I didn't quite go this route, but if you can have when you're whatever you're wanting to go into, whether if say we'll just use filmmaking. If filmmaking is what you're wanting to go into, when you start making enough income and clients to the point where you can support yourself, that's obviously the kind of the golden rule. However, there was a point where when I was working full time, I didn't have really the time to really dedicate to building clients and stuff, because a lot of corporate work is done during the week and I just couldn't take time off. So what I did is I started doing some weddings and kind of went that route. I hope to never do any more again, but that was something to at least start showing people that I could actually use a camera and all that, but also just having some passion projects that you're doing on the side, something to show potential clients what you're capable of. And that's what I did. I had a lot of material that I used from travel videos and wedding videos and just smaller projects that I had, and all that kind of built up to where I could have, somewhat of a reel. I don't even know where it is anymore, because it's definitely a little bit embarrassing now to go back and look at that, but it was something. And you start small and network. I mean, one of the things that I did, because I didn't have a lot of commercial work in my reel, I partnered with a local production company and just got hired on to first AC or just help on set, even just loading up stands. I mean, whatever the case may be, it didn't matter. I just wanted to get on set, to have the experience, and to network. And through that networking, you meet other people in the industry, whether it's gaffers or grips or audio guys and gals, or even other agencies, people at the agency that get to know your name. Now, if you're on set, don't ever give your information out to the client if you're working for a production company, obviously. But the production company I was with just said, hey, here's another resource for smaller projects that we can't do or something. And they kind of would pass my name along, and slowly and surely things just started to, kick into motion. And, another thing that's really helped me in my career, oddly enough, is YouTube. Being able to connect with other filmmakers and stuff, that's actually led to work for myself, but it's also led to me being able to find other filmmakers to work on projects with me that I trust, because I can see their work as well. So
yeah, that's definitely helpful. I was kind of in the same situation around same time, and I didn't have any projects lying ahead, but I totally agree. You need to have like a portfolio. So what I did was asking friends that I had from school, and they working in companies or have their own business, that I just offered them for free, shooting like a commercial, something like that, just to build up a portfolio that I can show to potential clients. And I think it's also pretty helpful to have a little bit of savings on the side, because I had like a little bit of money put back to, just to survive for the next half a year, because you don't know what's gonna happen. And I think it's also noticeable when you are when you don't have any money and you are negotiating with the client and they feel that you really need the job, that you have to survive. That's not an ideal position, I think. But yeah, from total standpoint, because when you're doing projects, you get to know new people, they're gonna know your name, and that gonna leads into more, yeah, as you said, I don't know how it's called in English, but the businesses start to running, and yeah, that's kind of cool. And also, you said like, but did you got already some jobs through YouTube? So would you recommend to other people starting a YouTube channel also for marketing purposes?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I started YouTube, I just decided to. Well, I just liked doing it. Like I just thought it was fun to do. But as I was kind of moving along in my YouTube career, if that's what you call it, I noticed the tangible impact of networking, and that was a huge bonus to starting YouTube channels, because over time, when you start to build an audience, and I mean my audience is relatively small still, but you know, it only takes one subscriber to meet that could lead to a long-lasting relationship and friendship and all that good stuff. So yeah, I mean, I just make content, just whatever, it was a camera review or some kind of gadget or whatever the case may be, but you put out enough content and be consistent with it, and have great looking B-roll, and experiment with things. That kind of like people will notice that, and not necessarily clients all the time, but if I put like personal projects or something on there, and a client is looking for an idea, I've gone to some of my YouTube videos, just like passion projects, and said like, hey, I did this just for fun. Maybe we could go something like this route. And they say, oh yeah, that's actually a really good idea. And then the other thing with the YouTube channel is, for me, the ability to experiment and learn new things that you can't do on set. And I can't stress it enough, like a client's not paying you to experiment with lighting on set. You kind of can, like, I mean, you can definitely audition lights and kind of figure that out, but you can't experiment with a technique. Like you can't go on set and say, hey, I saw this YouTube video on cove lighting and I really kind of want to try that. You can't do that. So doing YouTube videos has really allowed me the opportunity to experiment with different lighting techniques and different camera movement techniques and composition and stuff like that I would not experiment with a client, because they're paying me to be the professional, not to be a scientist on set, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. When you're doing things like for the first time, then there's always like the risk that something can go wrong. And that's also what I did, because also I got, when I was starting out, and normally at the start you don't have that many jobs all the time, and I also got better by making YouTube and also sharing the knowledge that I got, and also growing together with the community. And also cool, that led to a point right now, because also like in Germany, the YouTube community is really small, and also like the subscriber numbers are way lower than for example if you're doing English content, because now I have half of the subscribers that I have on my German channel. I have on my German like 6,000, now I have 3,000, and it took me like half a month, and for 6,000 I'm doing that like 2 years now, something like that. So it's really small, but at the same time I got recognized by Canon, and they asked me if I want to test the C70, because I'm one of the, let's say, bigger content creators for the German market, and that wouldn't have been possible in English, because there are so many other people that are, let's say, have 500,000 subscribers or something like that. So that's really cool. And also they ask for my feedback about the camera, and Yeah, I think it's really great to also share the knowledge that you got, also helping other people, and also, like as you said, experimenting. I saw a lot of your lighting tutorials, especially I remember the way you lit like the Walter Mitty scene, I think it was. And I was like really thinking, what, the C200 has that amount of dynamic range? Was really looking great. So yeah. Because I've already talked about a little bit, what equipment are you currently using? So you said you're using the 1DX Mark III and you're using the Ursa Mini, I think, right?
Yeah, so my 1DX is primarily just for stills and BTS and stuff like that. It's a long story why, anyways. But to give you the current setup, I'm running the Ursa G2 as my main cam, and then the Pocket 6K Pro hopefully will be on the way soon. And that'll kind of be my B cam. So yeah, that's what I run camera wise. And then if there's a project where I interviews or something or whatever, I'll just rent either another Ursa or like another pocket cam or something like that, just because they match so well. And the Blackmagic RAW workflow is pretty incredible. Especially I'm on the little M1 MacBook Pro, and I mean it was better than my old Mac Pro. So the codec workflow is pretty spectacular. Now, I mean, the 1DX, like the high efficiency 10-bit codec, actually plays back fine on the computer now. So I have been incorporating that back into my workflow a little bit. But so that's with the camera. And then lenses, I'm typically using the Sigma Art lenses, the 18-35 and 24-70. Those are pretty much my primary lenses that I use for anything, but it just depends on the project. Like I rented a set of Leica R lenses for this Christmas project, and it just turned out looking beautiful. The Sigma Art lenses are just they're really clinical, and they're great for commercial work. But if I want to go creative, I'll just rent a set of lenses. I really want to rent a set of Atlas Orions, because that would be super fun. But need to find a client that has the extra budget just for a lens rental.
How was it? Because you had the C200 before, I think. Also, you got the Pocket 4K, right? So what was the reason why you said, like, obviously you wanted to stay in the Blackmagic ecosystem? Why going for the Ursa?
Yeah, that's the long story. So back in whenever the pandemic kind of kicked off, that's such a poor choice of words there. But when the pandemic started, and especially in the US, pretty much I lost all of my contracts. Everything just, which I understand. I mean, money is tight, and there's a lot of unexpected. You got to cut expenses, so totally get that. But but I joined a filmmaking team with a church in, I want to say, April or something. And the really cool thing with that team was you could use the equipment for freelance work if it wasn't being utilized, and you just kind of checked it out and all that kind of stuff. And they had a C200. We had a C200 as one of the cameras. So my C200 was just collecting dust. And although we wanted to move to Colorado, we had zero expectations of getting a job out here during a pandemic. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to be here a while. I really liked working on the team. So I sold my C200 just because it was collecting dust at my house, and I just didn't see a reason to hold on to it. And then I sold my Pocket 4K because, again, we had great equipment to use for that. And I just, if a camera's not being used, then it's kind of like I play guitar, and I just don't like guitars that hang on walls and aren't used. If they're not being used, just they deserve to be put to use. So that's kind of what I thought with my Pocket 4K. So sold it to a good friend of mine, and and I just started offloading equipment, not offloading equipment that was collecting dust that I wasn't using on the regular. Like I was still using my 1DX for, YouTube videos and all that BTS and stuff. And yeah, but that's why. So I sold those cameras, and then we moved out here, and I had no camera. So I was like, I need to get something. And the Ursa G2 just ticked all the boxes for me because it has built-in XLR, built-in NDs. And I personally like the form factor of the Ursa. But so that's just kind of what I decided to go with just the Blackmagic Raw workflow. And that's kind of the reason why I went with the G2. I almost went for the 12K actually, but I decided that image, although it's a beautiful image, it's not worth twice the price of the Ursa to where I could reallocate the funding that I had set aside for, as opposed to just getting the 12K. I allocated that to lensing and more lights and audio equipment and all that stuff that makes a much bigger impact on your image than a camera sensor.
Yeah, I think from the 12K, I really like the technology that they used, like that you can record in 4K RAW without cropping the sensor, which is really great. But at the same time, I always felt like when I was using the Pocket 6K, even at maximum compression, that the files were just simply a little bit too big. So also 4.6K is right in the middle, the sweet spot. So you have a little bit more headroom above 4K to crop in if you need to. And actually 4K is more than enough. So
and another reason too is I although I run my own production company, I also like to just DP and stuff, and having the option of recording ProRes internally was another really big selling point for me, because some clients just don't like the Blackmagic Raw workflow, or their NLE doesn't support it. So having ProRes as an option for internal recording was really important to me. So that's another reason why I went that route. And I had the Pocket 6K in my cart maybe 10 times. I almost purchased it like 10 because it's a beautiful. The sensor is gorgeous, and I'm actually really glad they kept that same sensor in the 6K Pro. But I don't know. I just had this feeling, and I'm just gonna hold off and just see like what happens. And then they came out with one with internal NDs, and I was like, well, there's your answer right there,
Yeah, I think I don't understand. I really liked. I also shot with the Canon C70, some project. I really liked the image out of it, and also like the C70 is a fantastic camera. But I personally don't understand why they don't put ProRes in the camera. I think because they want to have their proprietary XFAVC codec or whatever. But I totally get that, because I also have when I'm shooting for an agency and they want to have the footage, they always ask, at least here in Germany, for ProRes. And it's like kind of an extra step that you have to do when you transcode all your footage, rather than having just recording it in camera and then you just can't hand over and there you go. So yeah, I don't know. I think also Sony doesn't do that, but I'm not sure, maybe you know more than I do, but I've heard that licensing ProRes is for free. I'm not sure if that's the truth, but yeah.
I don't know the answer to that. I know there are licensing requirements with ProRes. Maybe there are certain resolutions that are free, but that I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I'm not I really haven't researched because I'm not a camera manufacturer. I just want to record the footage.
How is it with the Ursa G2? Can they do also 300 frames? Was that true, or was it just?
Yeah, the G2 in HD will shoot at 300 frames per second, and actually it actually looks really good if you record at like the 3:1 compression or Q0 or whatever it is. It actually looks really good if it's lit really well. It actually upreses to 4K pretty well. I don't typically use that very often, just because I have that high frame rate button on the side, and for slow motion, 100 and what is it, 50 frames per second if you use the 2:4 aspect ratio. That is plenty enough slow motion, and it's almost too much most of the time. I mean, 60 frames is usually plenty, but I just haven't had the need. I haven't really shot anything where I need 300 frames per second, but I've kind of been wanting to experiment with it. So I don't know, maybe I'll do something with 300 frames per second sometime on a YouTube video, because that's when I experiment.
So what is your editing software? I think you use also Resolve, right? Or
yeah, primarily DaVinci Resolve. We used, when the last year of the team I was on, we were in Premiere Pro for when we worked on the same project. But if there was ever a project that I just took on myself, I was just in Resolve. It's come along so far to the point where, I mean, it's just as good as any of the other ones out there. And for me, I don't know. Well, number one, I mean, Blackmagic Raw, it's they're built together, so there's always that native support, but the editing and all that is so easy. And I'm not one of the editors that do the crazy whip transitions and all the like kind of the trendy stuff. I kind of have more. I try to have more of a timeless transitions that will still look normal 10 years from now. And well, I say that, but who the heck knows? Maybe the whip thing will be the new standard. But so for all that stuff, Resolve, it runs smoothly. And then obviously color grading, there's no need to do round tripping or anything like that.
Yeah, for me also, I switched like I think beginning of 2019 to Resolve. First, because I was coming from Premiere, and I was also kind of upset that it always crashed. And I also find like the dynamic link system switching from one program to another kind of works, but it's not the same as if you have like everything built into one software like on Resolve. So I tested the free version, and after 1 month I liked it so much, and then I just purchased the full version, and ever since then I'm really happy with it. And also like color grading, of course, you can do so much with it, and it's not layer based anymore. I just have to get used more to Fusion because I tend to use After Effects for like, let's say like some simple lower thirds animation for like client stuff, something like that. But yeah, all in all, I think, and I also got the feeling that from now, I think like last year, they are coming out more, let's say like packages that you can buy, like plugins for Resolve that weren't really there before. So also the software gets more support from third-party manufacturers and something like that. So that's pretty cool, I think.
Yeah, I agree. The Fusion thing is, I haven't had a computer that's been like powerful enough to really take full advantage of Fusion, but that I'm still holding out to maybe the more powerful M1 Max come out later this year, that I'd be able to take advantage of it. But yeah, I agree. I mean, Fusion is really powerful, and what I've seen people do with Fusion is incredible. But But I think the plugins thing, I think those are going to start coming out quicker and quicker, simply just because I think there are a lot of companies out there like Motion VFX and stuff that just knew how to use the other software systems, After Effects and what was the other one, Compress or Motion, Apple Motion. And I think that's kind of where they were built. I could be completely wrong on this, but I just think probably developers are starting to learn Fusion well enough to be able to get enough out there. And there are some out there right now that are pretty good. I haven't really used it because anytime I open Fusion, it just slows my computer down. So, but yeah, I agree. I really want to learn Fusion.
Yeah, I think as you've mentioned, I'm also waiting for the new iMac with the M1 processor, because what I've seen is really great. I'm rocking the 2019 iMac and I don't have any problems, but I don't, for example, I think it's the same on the 1DX Mark III when you have this H.265 files. My R6 it is simply not manageable. I have to create proxies, and I'm not sure what Canon did, because I have also, for example, on the Zcam you also have an H.265 compression, just in case you want to, and that's playing back very smoothly. I don't have any issues with that, but not sure.
I've never had a laptop, so having the freedom of working from anywhere has been pretty cool. And when I bought I used to have a 2013 Mac Pro. It was awful. I mean, it got to the point where I finally traded it in, but it was the point where in Resolve, I couldn't even edit an HD timeline in full resolution. So I think one of the graphics cards or something had obviously gone out, but it was pretty pitiful. And so, but I got the M1 MacBook Pro and traded in my Mac Pro with the kind of the thought process or the intention of, if it doesn't work out right, I'll just get the iMac, the 5K iMac, because I don't need the M1 engine for most video editing, for Blackmagic Raw and stuff. But I've been so impressed that I haven't even put the iMac order in. I just put that on the back burner because rumor has it that a more pro level M1 style Mac, I don't know if it's a MacBook or an iMac or what, but I mean, eventually I think all of them will be, but supposedly they say sometime this year a more pro level whatever going to come out. And even if it's a more pro level MacBook Pro, like the 16-inch or something, that I keep pointing down because I have my computer right here for reference for anybody watching. But even if they come out with a 16-inch MacBook Pro, I'd be willing to just run with that. And if it's powerful enough, just because being able to work on the fly and DIT on set, dump footage and stuff, that's just all so beneficial to have, that can't have that with an iMac station. However, I kind of do like the cleanliness of an iMac too, so that's something. But we'll see. I mean, right now this little MacBook Pro is chugging along, that it impresses the heck out of me. So
since we're already talking about post-production, a lot of the people I think underestimated, but how you're gonna be dealing with backupping, saving your footage. What is your workflow for that?
For actual editing, I just edit off of these T5 drives. They're really fast, and I mean, especially with the connection to the Thunderbolt, whatever number it is on the MacBooks, it's blazing fast, and I can edit anything off it. Even R3D files, it runs fine. And then I just have some G drives just to back up on, and then important stuff I back up on these. Again, this is a client of mine's. They just sent me these to back up their projects on. So I have a bunch of redundancies, but they, I recommend to the client, if they can afford it, to get these T5 drives, because I'll back up and everything, and I'll put the project file and everything on here as well. So if they ever want to go back to it, then they can open everything up and everything's localized. And so if they open Resolve, which I think they have, then they can open up the project real quick and, render it out at a higher resolution if they want, and stuff like that, where, if it's something that I charge for, then they don't have to deal with it. They don't have to call me. And so it kind of works out. So
yeah, I'm always like calculating like a fee, like it's like around 50 euros. So that saves me that I can buy a hard drive where I can store the footage on. And I always recommend to other people like saving the footage, because you don't know if you work next year with the client and they say, yeah, we shot last year this project together and actually we could use some footage out of that. It would be pretty cool. And if you're the one who is saying, oh, I didn't have that anymore. Yeah, so, and I also think like I haven't done that, just doing it like this year, backupping everything in the cloud. So I have a Google Drive subscription. I've already like 10 terabytes on there, and that's, yeah, you kind of need to have a fast internet connection. But it's really, really helpful, because you don't know, for some reason the hard drive isn't working anymore, or someone robbed it whatsoever. So that's just peace of mind, so to say.
Yeah, hard drives definitely fail. That's why I do like having the SSDs. Those SSDs or even like these kind of SSDs. Just anything that's a solid state drive, they are more reliable than the spinning drives, and so if it's within the budget, and I will recommend that to a client if they have the budget, just to get an SSD and or put it in the budget to back it up on there, just because. Just for a tangible backup, but I do the same thing. I'll put the footage on a cloud, like Dropbox or something, and depending on the client, I'll put it on the client's server so that they can go access it when they want, because it's their footage. So if they wanna have that archived, I'll have an archive of mine. But at the end of the day, I also expect the client to want to archive their footage as well. Because if they want me to just archive it, then I'm gonna charge them a monthly fee to continue up with it, because that's just part of storage and the cost of business. So that's just something that I recommend to them, and they typically will just say, yeah, let me just give you a drive and you can hold on to that and then put it on my server. So because if they're going to pay for storage, then they might as well pay it for their own internal server instead of paying me to hold on to it. But I mean, every client's different, every company's different. That's just kind of my philosophy. And I don't think there's that, some people may disagree with that, but I think for me, that's kind of worked out.
What would be your biggest suggestion, I think, that you would give to other people just starting out? What would you tell basically yourself 3 years back?
As a filmmaker, I would say don't get caught up in the camera hype, get caught up in the lighting hype, because get a camera that can do the job, but the lighting is going to do much more of a job than a camera sensor ever will. So my advice is learn how to light in a bunch of different scenarios, and YouTube has really helped me with that, because I can experiment with different techniques. A lot of my videos don't look the same, just because I try something different almost every video, just to experiment. And that just from a filmmaking perspective, learn lighting, learn how the light changes throughout the day and what the quality of light looks like throughout the day and what the color of that light looks throughout the day, because all we try to do is try to mimic natural light for the most part. I mean, except for like, you know, music videos and stuff, but like any movie Deacons does, it just looks natural. And I mean, even with practicals, learn what a practical looks like and what that looks like in a room. All that kind of stuff will make you a better filmmaker, a better cinematographer, because you may want to go to the DP route, and if you go that route, a lot of your projects may not even use your camera. They're gonna ask you to hire out whatever other camera, whether it's a Red or Arri or whatever the case may be. So I would say from a filmmaker perspective, definitely learn lighting. And another thing is learn like or kind of decide and experiment, get on set with other production companies, because then you can kind of figure out what you want to do. I know a very, very successful gaffer who, he said, you know, he wanted to be a DP, like everybody else wanted to be a DP, but he learned that he could be a gaffer and get on much more exciting projects as a gaffer as opposed to a DP, and he loves what he does. And that's not an unexciting job. It's a really, really cool job to be a gaffer. So, I mean, we all want to be DPs or directors, but there are other career paths in the filmmaking world that you can earn money to earn a living, but then, you know, you can do passion projects where you are the DP or director. So there is more to filmmaking than just being the director of photography or the director, obviously. From a business perspective, I would say network and meet local, not just with filmmakers, but with local businesses. Like, if you're on Facebook, get on the local small business pages and stuff, because you can talk with other small businesses. These small businesses may say, hey, I need did anybody know any videographers I need a quick, well, hey, I'm one, let's chat. And that can definitely help. And then wherever you're located in the world, find a way to make sure that you are protecting yourself as a business owner. You know, here being an LLC really helps protect you legally. And then research insurance and learn local permitting laws and all that kind of stuff, because that can play a huge role. That can stop productions if, you know, or if you need to do rentals or whatever the case may be. If you're not insured, you're not going to be able to get rentals. I mean, maybe like C-stands and stuff, you probably don't need insurance, but it just depends on the shop. So there is a lot of that, and keep track of your numbers. I mean, a lot of businesses fail because they don't keep track of their expenses, and they just overspend and they run themselves into the ground. So that's really important. And then there was one more thing I was about to say, and then it just slipped my mind. Oh yeah, know your worth. Know your value that you can give to a client. And if you're just starting out and you need work, I mean, that's one thing. Like, try to get as much work as you can. But I've turned down a lot of work with clients and potential clients that try to negotiate my prices down. And to me, that's kind of a red flag. If they want your product, if they want your talents and your skills, and you've proven that you have those skills and talents, and they try to nickel and dime you down, then it really shows that they don't respect you as a business owner. And you know, I always say, like, hey, if you had an electrician come out, are you going to tell them that you're going to give them half the amount just because you don't want to spend that much? It's the same kind of thing. We're professionals, and I think you should give that to yourself, that you are a professional, and you should just respect yourself, and just know the value and what you're worth. Because, you know, people, I mean, the human nature, unfortunately, there's some people out there that will try to take advantage every chance they can. And if you get taken advantage of once and you decide to, you know, okay, I'll do it for half, well, that client, that business, whoever it is, they're going to tell their friend, that runs another business, well, hey, use so-and-so because they only did it for $500 instead of $3,000. And that's a really hard cycle to break out of. So
yeah, I totally agree with you. Like, negotiating with the client can be tricky, and I also understand that saying no is also hard, because at the same time, when you say no, you might lose the job, but you never should. If you're going down with the price, you're also decreasing your value, and price is always like an indicator for your value, of course. And I think, but that's something that's also, like, at least here in Germany, very special to the creative industry, because you wouldn't say to your dentist, hey, please make my teeth, and I will smile to every people that I see, and I will say everybody, oh, that dentist made that, because there are a lot of people thinking, like, coming to you as an artist and saying, hey, can you shoot that for free, and I will show it to everybody, and yeah,
but I've also said this too, like, if there's a client that you really, really, really want to work with, then, first try a spec ad first. I mean, that's another great piece of advice, is just do spec work for clients that you want to partner with and you want to align with that sort of industry. Do some spec work. That's going to come out of your own pocket typically, unless you have rich family or friends. That's kind of cool if you can pull that off. But spec work really helps with that. And you can make a spec ad and present it to the client and say, hey, I saw your ad, and hey, I made this one, and I think it may speak to your audience a little better, or however you want to word it, and say, this is something that I made, and I would love to talk about maybe even selling this to you, or talk about how we can partner together to make content to reach your audience in a better way. But you have to present it where you're adding value to them, not I need the work.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, that's also kind of a true story, because I originally studied sports, or sports management, it's actually, and I'm always like loving sports and all that kind of stuff. And then I just decided, because I wanted to work with, here in Germany we say Adidas, I just made a spec ad for a shoe, and then I showed it off to them, and they liked it so much. And also they are in my area here in Bavaria, so, and then I got to work for them because they liked it so much. And they saw that I understand what they wanted to convey with the ad. So, and that's also a huge thing which helps when you're trying to negotiate with the client, because you need to understand what's their problem, because they are hiring you, sure, to make a video, but they have a business problem that they want to fix. Either they want to have more revenue, they want to have new clients, or whatsoever. So, and if you can identify the problem for the client and can convince them, hey, with the ad or with the video or with the campaign that we're doing, we're gonna solve these problems, then I think you can convince a lot of clients. But that always helped me. But that's something that you kind of need to understand when you're not coming from like the business marketing world and all that stuff.
Exactly. And I mean, if as a filmmaker, there's a lot of different routes you can go. And if you're just trying to go the DP route or something, you're going to have less of those conversations. You're going to be hired to show up and be the cinematographer. But if you want to run your own production company, whether it's small, if it's just you, one-man band, that's still a production company. You're much more than a filmmaker at that point. You're a business person, and you have to understand what value added work does for clients. And that's when, even taking some online courses on marketing and business management and business strategy, not only for you, that's going to help help you as a business person and running your business, but you're going to start seeing patterns and some common threads that really make businesses successful. And when you can kind of apply what you're doing to your own business and say, hey, potential client, I see this potential problem, or I see where we have an opportunity to reach a new audience or reach an audience in a particular way, because from my creative experience and what I see creatively, and the gap where you're trying to reach an audience and it's just not helping or working, let me help you bridge that gap and take your product to a new market, or whatever the case may be. But you have to understand how kind of businesses work and what marketing does, and learn what demographics and all these kind of markety type terms are, because that's going to really help you show your client that you can add value to them, that they're not just paying for a video, they're paying for really good marketing. And if they have a marketing department, that's where you can partner with them. They say, hey, I've kind of got this vision, how can you bring this to life? Oh, well, we can do it this, and this, and if you want to do this, it's going to cost this, and there's all kinds of variables coming into it. But this is really long-winded, but yeah, just you got to be a business person before a filmmaker if you're running your production company, or partner with somebody that knows business and that can run a business and let you be the creative director of that production company.
What would you say, what kind of revenue streams you can have as a filmmaker, or like a digital creator, so to say? Because it's not always like client work, and I think it's really important to understand that you can use multiple revenue streams, because if one fails, you can rely on another, right?
You got active and passive income streams, really. And your active income streams are, that's client work. You're making a video, providing a service, and they cut you a check for that. And then when that happens, then that active income stream is no longer active. But you can also have, with that same client, you could have retainer deals where they hire you as on retainer and you work a certain amount of projects, whatever your contract says. And that's also another way to have an income stream. But then there's also passive income streams, and that's where something like YouTube or anything like that is really helpful for me, with the Amazon affiliate and Adorama affiliate accounts, even YouTube revenue. I'm at like 10,000 subscribers, and I get like $100 a month or something like that. You don't make a lot of ad revenue from YouTube, but it's still something. That's gas money, or that's grocery money for whatever the case may be. But you start adding up these different passive income streams. Another thing is digital products. Like I sell lookup tables for Canon log and Canon log 2 and all that stuff. And that's another passive income stream for me, to where I put in the work, I put in hours and hours and hours and weeks on end on developing these things. But now, since those things are out there on my website, they continue to generate revenue. Again, it's not a lot of revenue, but you start adding up these different passive income streams to the point where it starts to kind of help, especially during the pandemic. These passive income streams can kind of add up to help you pay for groceries and or whatever the case may be. And I'm saying groceries because my passive income streams don't pay for my rent. It's just not, doesn't equate to that much, but it helps with grocery money or whatever the case may be. And then there's other parts of more long-term strategies, investing and all that. And I'm not sure what it looks like in Germany or anywhere else, but like here, as freelancers in the US, you can start. There's a lot of investment opportunities like IRAs and Roth IRAs that you can invest in, that you can slowly put a little bit of money towards that, and that's something that'll continue to grow. That you're not going to be able to touch to later on. But that's something that you look from a long-term perspective of, if you look at you working for a big company, you have a 401k or something like that. But, you don't have that ability to have a cool 401k from a big company, but there are other options to do. And that's a long-term income stream, but that's something that, if you invest wisely, maybe hire a financial advisor or something, that's something that'll set you up for the future that you can really pull from later on, or whatever the case may be. So I think as creatives, that's even one thing that I've really learned from my prior career in finance. Is that's what I did. I worked in finance and budgeting. That's one of the things I really appreciate taking away from that. As a creative, I probably would not have thought about those things unless I had worked what I did. So I'm really glad that I did what I did, but at the same time, I didn't particularly enjoy it. But it really helped me realize there are a lot more opportunities to generate income, whether it's short term or long term, that will really help you set up yourself for the future and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think also as a business owner, it's really important to think about your own future and what you can do now, because you won't have always like the same physical abilities, like to carrying thousands of tons of cameras and all that stuff. So I think it's I've really a crazy story. I had like for the first project I've ever did was a wedding, and I got like €1,000, something like that, and I kept it in this picture that I have on the wall. Like it was like in the in a letter, like what you put a letter on and then you're gonna send it, was like in this cover. And I had it sit there like a safety investment or safety fund investment. And then after 1 year I was thinking, oh man, that money in the wall, it doesn't get any more if it's just there. So I started thinking of, and then I invested in ETFs, and also I've invested in Bitcoins, which I'm really glad that I did that. And that really helps. And also that is something, but I think I've learned it because my dad is a business owner, and I learned so much from him that's really helped me also. But also as a filmmaker, you can rent your gear, that will give you some money. I personally do a lot of stock footage, which also helped me tremendously during pandemic. So nowadays, due to the internet, you can do so much, and also like digital products. It's really awesome, and to spread your revenue streams.
Absolutely. One thing I learned in business school was when you're investing, you got to diversify your portfolio. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. And that's just like you said, Paul, like that's exactly right I totally agree with income streams, is diversify your income streams as much as you can, because that's like you said, if one fails, you have other streams of income coming in. And investing is one of those things where it doesn't seem, it seems like you're throwing away money almost, but over time it really helps out. One of the best investments that my wife and I have made is in real estate, and land never goes away, or houses, that they typically trend upwards, and that's been a really great investment that you got to wait a couple of years to see that investment if you sell that property or whatever, but there's an investment, and then you make a gain on that, and you can reinvest that, or however the case may be. And I think it's really important for creatives to think that way, as opposed to just investing in gear, because gear is never an investment. Because gear, especially a camera will never ever be an investment. Even if it's an RE, like it's still a depreciating asset that it might make you money, but if you're going to spend $50,000 on a camera system versus $5,000 on a camera system, you got to really kind of weigh out like what's going to actually lead to profits, because that's just something you have to consider, and that's part of like knowing your market and knowing where you're going to be as a filmmaker and all that kind of stuff. And business planning goes a long way, but I think part of that business planning is finding a diverse way of investing and creating passive income streams, and I mean active income streams as well. But passive income is definitely something that's very, very useful, especially when work slows down. If you have a slow month or slow quarter or a slow year, passive income streams can definitely help out with that.
Just one question, because you've said that in the beginning, and I was just like thinking maybe it's just here in Germany, but I've also experienced like the same, because I said like the beginning of the year is always really slow. That kind of is the same right here, because for me, basically, I have most of my work during like summer. And the rest of the year it slows down normal, okay, because in the beginning of the year the companies are allocating their budgets and all that stuff. So it's the same like in the US, right?
Yeah, I think it depends on the markets, but my guess with Colorado, and I would say probably the same thing for Germany and a lot of Europe, is a lot of the work coming into the summer is simply due to weather and lighting and all that stuff. There's definitely work to be had in the winter, but I think maybe that has something to do with it, because especially Colorado is very focused on the outdoors, and it doesn't even matter. I mean, it could be a coffee shop, and they're gonna have outdoor stuff in their ads, in their promotional content, just because that's what residents of Colorado really gravitate towards, is being outdoors. So I think that might have something to do with it, but also just like you said, I mean, a lot of planning that happens for the following year typically happens in the third and fourth quarter of the prior year. And right now, I think especially the planning that was done in 3Q, 4Q, 2020, there's probably a lot of uncertainty that they kind of hold on to budget in the beginning first quarter to kind of see how that quarter goes. But also it's just cyclical. There's more, if you're a company that sells products, then a lot of that advertising budget is going to be held for the summer and fall for the holiday season. And so I think it depends on the markets that you're in and where you're located. I think it has a lot to do with it, but still a lot of companies try to be a little bit more conservative in the first quarter to kind of see how things pan out, because it could be that a client's first quarter is typically pretty slow to begin with as well. And that kind of makes sense if you think of the holiday season, and people and consumers are spending a lot of money in the holiday season. Their spending is going to typically go down in the first quarter of the year, because number one, they're planning for tax season, especially here in the US. That first quarter is planning on taxes and trying to determine if they have enough money for their taxes. And as filmmakers, for the most part, a lot of our clients, a lot of our work is dependent on consumer spending, because if a consumer's not spending, then a client's not going to have the revenue stream to have for marketing expenses and stuff. So that's one theory that's kind of what I've always thought to be that plus location based. I would say, maybe on the other side of the equator, it might be a little different just from the weather standpoint. But it also just depends on the market, I would say.
So Tyler, I think that was a very great call here, very informative, and thanks so much for your insight. Really enjoyed it. Also connecting with other filmmakers is always great, and also with these opportunities we can chat even though almost at night here. Yeah.
Yes, I keep seeing your window getting darker and darker.
Yeah, but really cool. Hopefully one day when traveling is allowed, we will definitely go to Colorado, and then I might give you a call to hang up for coffee or something like that. It would be really great.
Absolutely. We're really trying to get out to Germany as well at some point. So if we do, we'll hit you up.
Yeah, sure. So thank you very much for being on here. And as always, I will keep your social links dropped down below. So if you aren't subscribed to Tyler Edwards, just go to his channel. He's amazing work also on lighting and all that stuff. So really interesting to learn more about filmmaking. And thanks for being here. And we're gonna see you in the next video. Cheers.
Well, thanks so much. I really appreciate the opportunity and just having me on. It's an honor to just talk with you, and so I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, and I'm sorry if I totally just ruined your ending, but I definitely wanted to say thank you, and I really appreciate your kindness and your time to chat with me. So I really appreciate that.